Okay, I'll show you another example. This is example number 2 regarding the variable scope. So let's look at this function. We have a square function, right? The same thing. And then we have a main function. So to run this Python code, we have to have a main here. Main, right? So this main is going to invoke these functions. If you look at the inside of this main function is going to call or invoke the square function, right? And then in turn it's going to invoke the square function. But let's first identify local variable, right, for each function. So let's first look at the main functions. What are the local variables? We know that this is the n, so we have n here, right? And then we have what? We have a result, right? So that's another local variable to the main function, right? So first, when the main is called, the n becomes a 2. And then it's going to what? Call the square functions. And this main function also provide argument value 2, right? To this called function, which is a square. And your result becomes what? 2 times 2, your result becomes 4. But in this case, what are the local variables? Okay, the local variables, of course, include this parameter variable n. So we have n. By the way, these are all local variables. And so n is actually it's local variables, but at the same time it's a parameter variable, right? And then what we have another function is another variable result in this square function, right? Which is what? Which is a result. Okay, so this is a local variable. Local variable 2 square. And what? This is a local variable 2 main. Okay, now, although they have exactly same name, right? They are not the same variable, right? They are not. So for example, the main function, for example, like the main function really cannot see the n. This n is only visible to within these functions. And also this n, which is local to main, this n is only visible within this main function. Okay? So let's just follow this example. So n is 2, n becomes 2, right? The result is what? 2 times 2 is a 4, so the result is going to be 4. And somehow n is what? Becomes 100 again. So this n is 100, right? But you know that there's no change, but because this n in the main is different from this n in the square. They are two different the variables, right? Just name happen to be same, and this, you know, the computers will your program will create a memory, right? Create a memory to store this n value in somewhere, you know, in, let's say, in memory address 100, and so this is like an address, the memory space 100. And this variable is created at the memory address, let's say 200. Okay, so happen to be the same name but two different variables. Okay. And then what? This is going to return the result. You know that once the return, when this function executes its return statement, that's the that's the end of that's the termination of the function. So we return the result, which is a 4, right? So this becomes what? This becomes 4. But at this time, right, this time on, this is all gone because it just return statement is going to terminate these functions, and therefore all the local variables are removed from the memory. Okay. So the result of 4 is going to be transferred to the result. Now it's going to be 4, right? And this time it's going to print n. So what? We're going to print 2. It's not the 100. Okay, it's not the 100. It's going to print 2, which is this one. Okay. So we can run this program. Let's see. I'll just create another one. So file, new file. Right, I can just make it smaller. Right. Definition square n colon, and then result is equal to n times n, because this is a square function, and then n is 100, and what? Return result. Right, and then definition, what? Main, n, oops, colon, n becomes 2, result is what? Square 2, and then print what? N. Or let's just print result 2. And then you have to say what? You have to invoke main functions. Say the week 6 function scope 2.py. Okay, so you have a 2 and 4, right? Okay, so let me end my lecture here.